Good morning everyone. Okay, a lot of comments and opinions on the last couple of videos, which is good. You know, I get myself worked up, so do you guys, but as long as it's we're trying to do the right thing. By ourselves, I mean. As long as people are respectful, that's fine. Let me pop out the chat, guys. A lot of regulars back. Hello everyone. Let me pop it out. Yeah, the last video, I completely effed up the video settings, and it looked like garbage. And so the only salvageable thing I could do was just make it black and white. You could already see how awful it looked. Black and white made it look as inoffensive as possible. Regulars, David, Farrell, Rusty, Boffin, Quaz, RP Mentor, Donna, Realistic Delinquent, yeah. Hey guys, let's get straight into the questions and comments, because there were a lot, especially from the main one where I said I'm over red flags. And again, I'm over just red flags. I should have wrote that, but I suppose the crux of what I was saying in the video was all anyone talks about is just the red flags, what not to do. That's bad, that's bad. And we kind of almost in a respectful say, well, we're not going to offer solutions. We're only going to be descriptive. We're going to describe how awful things are. We're never going to be forward moving. We're never going to be constructive. We're sort of losing that aspect of guys fixing things and enjoying fixing things. I know it's almost impossible and it's hard with most women out there, but that ability to kind of fix things and make your world right is a big thing that guys can lose. And they do lose. Just look at small things like hobbies. Guys working on a car and constantly fixing it. But sort of progressively moving toward it being, finished, and then maintaining the thing that's fixed. But going back to zero and just saying it's not worth it, and just see, this is the thing. Like, you could imagine never enjoying, like if you're into muscle cars, never enjoying just fixing and tinkering and improving and adjusting and getting better, getting experienced with the car if you're into that. And I think that a lot of us, me included, in the past, you go through a car wreck. That's a bad example. Why would you? Depending on how bad the car wreck is. Look, I can understand guys that never want to. Look, I'm talking in general. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I hope the autofocus keeps up with me. I'm using a different camera today. All right. Jose, thank you for the donation. Jose, he says, green flags are why I get in a relationships. Red flags is why I leave. Well put. Another very succinct way to say what I said. That would have been a 10-second video. But no. But this is the thing. If you choose to get into relationships, you get into them because of what you want out of them, the fun. I said this before. Relationships are supposed to be fun. Like we're micromanaging every sort of aspect for perfection now. But relationships are so stochastic and unpredictable, and everyone is different as well. It's not like you're talking, again, the analogy, like about the same make and model of a car. There's slight variations, but they come off the conveyor belt exactly the same. Women come off the conveyor belt very different, but with similar things, like, they have four wheels and doors and windscreen wipers and things like that, if you want to use the car analogy. So it's the kind of thing to keep in mind, and keeping in mind what you want and what you need out of a car or a woman or a relationship. It's an important thing to keep in mind as guys, rather than saying, oh no, we all just want a car. Is what kind of car? I can't be bothered. Just give me a car. I just want to go from A to B. And then it's like, well, if that's all you care about, which most guys do, I just want a woman to, throw in the bedroom. You complain about everything else around it, because a relationship consumes 99% of your world. They're in it permanently. So you can't be so blasé about it. Otherwise, you get the results of that blaséness. Is that a word? No. You know what I mean? Treat something like a hobby, you get the results of a hobby. Treat all women the same, you'll get all women. Be very, use the red flags, be very astute, very careful, and do not let anyone in, even as a friend. I mean, you wouldn't let anyone into your house. I'm amazed how many guys my age still let women into their lives the same way they did when they were in their youth. And because they excuse themselves by lazy ethics and saying, well, they're all the same, so I can take that magnifying glass away. I don't have any wants or needs or whatever. All I want is someone who's good looking, right? And it's very clever of a lot of us to kind of revert back to biology, revert back to ontology, revert back to the basics of the thing. A woman, can reproduce and blah, 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 and I'm a male and the human species are meant to reproduce and blah. Just taking all the color out of why we actually want to be with someone, why we enrich our lives with a better person or a worse person. Having the ability to move the dials in what you choose with a person or your hobbies or where you live, your routines and things like that. Human, did you have your cup of coffee today? Having it. Right now. Dates feel like job interviews, someone says. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff says, I like the thought that not all red flags are equal. That's true. Because here's the thing. Women will unfairly classify all men in the same way. And we kind of defend, well, we're not all the same. And let me tell you how I'm different and blah, blah, blah. As long as we can have that discussion, yeah, all men are the same in this respect. But if I'm talking to you, lady, I want us to have a personal, subjective conversation with each other. So, I think that's the important thing. Anyway, on to some of the comments. If you guys want to leave a question in the live stream, if you're live here, if you're watching this after the fact, disregard it, what I'm saying. But if you want to leave a question, put a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis before your question, and I'll get to it. I pose the question in the community tab to give people basically a week to ask me any questions about the recent videos. Iron Yuppie said, Human, you talk a lot about looking for compatibility with a potential partner. Do you think it's important to be compatible with that partner's friends and family? Yes. For me, it's whatever they value. This is the thing. Do you have the same values? Remember in the previous black and white video, I sort of said the three important things: physical attraction, mental attraction, and values. Want the same things out of life. That's the hardest thing. Physical attraction, easy. That's what everyone's doing today. Everyone's sort of just falling into biology. Don't think, don't plan, don't be responsible. Just, what can you do, bruh? The species, bruh. Um, so if part of her values is she really gets along with her family, she's got certain family values. If you don't get along with that, that's all part of wanting the same things out of life and having the same values. Now, if she's got all these bunch of awful friends that are real red flags to you, and there's red flags with their family, and you don't get along with them, there's probably you're probably in the dating period and you haven't seen incompatible things with her yet, I would guess. But I would say her world is a good reflection of her, the people around it, the people she enjoys spending time with, the people in her life she calls her best friend or family members. I mean, if there's family members that she justifiably has problems with, then you can objectively say, yeah, I understand, you know, your sister or your brother has like anger issues. I can't stand them either. I understand why you can't be around them. That's fine. But yeah, I would say that's still part of the values of the person, getting along with their family and friends. And women do this to guys. They try and sort of ostracize guys and push them away from their friends and their life. You have to love everything about the person. You do. Or at least understand and respect it and know that it's part of them. And know also that it's part of the reason why you might have fell for them. You can't sort of say, I like the look of you, but like women do, I want to rearrange the furniture of all that you are to suit me. So basically you're just getting a male or a female and sort of Frankensteining them into your ideal of a person, and then you end up not liking it anyway. Whether we like it or not, we think we want walking, talking dolls that, you know, when we pull the ripcord at the back of their neck, they say everything we want to say. But we don't. We want compatibility, but it's got to be honest and real. Like, I wouldn't want someone to force me to keep adjusting who I am. Otherwise, they're disappointed in me, and that is the hard thing. Even if you may meet someone that's agreeable, you may not fit together. It's happened to me a few times. In fact, I'd say most of my serious relationships they were a nice person, but after the honeymoon period, you slowly realize, like, we just don't fit. Our temperament and our values, they just aren't aligned at all. What was aligned was the initial physical attraction. The second one of being able to talk and get along, it was kind of there, but it was kind of heavily colored by the honeymoon period of wanting to be with each other and discovering and looking at each other and enjoying being in a relationship, enjoying the companionship and the connection with another human being. But once that honeymoon period goes, you start to see whether number 2 or 3 is actually there or not. Number 1's fairly constant unless people get out of shape or they physically change. But that kind of dissipates anyway. So once you fall for someone, whether they lose or gain a bit of weight or whatever, it doesn't really matter too much. But initially, if you're locked in and then you move to the important things, your relationship moves up a level from which it can't really go back from. The being able to be mentally attracted as well as values in life, those two things are the hardest. Jennifer asks, is there something about yourself that you don't understand? Heaps. In case my videos didn't suggest it, I'm asking questions always. I might be, whenever I pose questions about guys and stuff, so like a lot of times I'll reference myself, you know, I did this in the past, this is the problem I had with women. Like, I'm constantly trying to improve myself and improve my decisions and improve my life. So I don't understand a lot. The older I get, the less I understand. She says, is it a hindrance or an advantage? A lot of times it can be a disadvantage, especially with people, because I'm very curious. I want to work things out because I want to get along with people. I want to get along with my own life. I want, you know, the rest of my life to be better than the naive, energized younger me. Am I blowing out the audio or is it fine? because I'm looking at the levels and it's just tickling the red zone, but not quite. But yeah, I don't understand a lot. Some of them I've grown to understand by going back to the past, not living there, but understanding how I was raised as an only child until the age of 9, what that kind of did. And I've talked about this in previous videos, how that went into my reactions and fears and things with women compared to my friends. Like, you know, you might notice when you go out dating or out and about with your friends, some of your friends are just very calm and relaxed about women. Some can talk to them, some can't. Some are completely petrified. And where I was, my peculiar one was, I was worried like most guys, but I had one friend who was completely debilitated. Like they just couldn't. And this kind of degree to which you sort of see the ease at which one of your friends or someone else can do life and you can't. And that intellectual curiosity always spurred me on to fix those things I didn't like, because I wanted to be more like that. I could see life as calmer. I don't like being stressed. If I want a woman, I don't want stress added to it. I want to recognize it, or can I see the stress as excitement? Like, however I can, do you know what I mean? The more I can understand, verbalize, or come to terms with it in a language that makes sense to me, that can help me, the better. So I don't understand a lot, but I really enjoy trying to. So yeah. Ian says, what is a man? What is the definition of man? Can we still define a man today? Who knows? I keep saying, care about the man you are. Learn from men you respect. We used to do a lot more of this in the past. Whoa. Next comment by Emily. She wrote an essay, and I can't read the whole thing, but basically she was complimenting me and then disparaging me. Just quickly, because I haven't got time to read the whole thing, Emily, but thank you for your very long comment. Next time in the comment section, I really should say, ask me a sentence as a question, please, not an essay if you can. And you can ask me next week again. She basically sort of, I'll read some of it. For a long time, I've been convinced that you hate women, and that your intention on this channel is to convince men all over the world to do the same. I find that sadly pathological, like you must be a very bitter man. And that does in fact sadden me, because you are very intelligent and you could be such a force for good. See that? Like sad, sad, shame, shame, but a lot of men have learned this tactic of shame, that it's a one-trick pony, that women, aside from putting on a miniskirt, women's other tactic is shame. That's about all they've got with men. Men are very aware and sharing information about this. A lot of men go too far, which I talk about, where they become so anti-woman. I don't think I'm one of the most moderate sort of male self-helpy kind of channels out there. I mean, if you're gonna call me pathological and bitter and sad, I mean, what are some of the other channels? Again, look, I think I'm fairly moderate, which is a reason that I show my face. I don't say anything that's like outrageous. I think with both the comments with the guys, I can see that because it's forcing all of us to talk about things that make us try and justify what our ethics are, bring them out in the open and stand up for what we believe. That's a good thing, as long as we can do it respectfully. Anyway, she goes, and that saddens me because you are very intelligent and you could be such a force for good, but I have come to believe that you desperately want a relationship with a woman. Desperately? Again, I pay attention to language. I like words. So I don't just kind of get the emotion of the gist of what you say. A lot of women just kind of listen to how a sentence makes them feel. I listen to the specific words that try and elicit a response from me. And I can see what you're doing. And a lot of guys are knowing this as well. And a lot of women can get annoyed that like, oh, you're just sad, you're just this. And the guy sees what you're doing. It's like, I don't want to feel shame because I've done nothing wrong. It's like, no, I'm not. Sorry. She says, but I've come to believe that you desperately want a relationship with a woman. And here's the kicker. So do your followers. They come to you hoping you'll talk them out of it. So she thinks that the people that watch my channel come to my channel hoping that I will talk them out of a relationship. My channel doesn't do that. Other channels do. I'm very moderate. I'm very, let's talk about this openly. I talk about what I see or I might want in my world, but mostly I talk about the subject, which is why I put the disclaimer at the start. I'm talking about the topic, not you. And a lot of times it's not about me. Like I've talked recently about you might want kids, you might want this. Make the decision that's best for you. How do you go about it? Yada, 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 right? She continues. I think you want a relationship very much because despite appearing to despise women, that's what it appears to you. I don't. And I can tell you I don't because you're asking me. And my answer should be the most truthful as well as... I mean, you can look at how my channel makes you feel as a woman, but look at the words I say. Listen to them. I know you won't. Most women just... I know that it's hard for... And I'm not trying to put women down. Again, it's like, oh, if I don't make women sound perfect, then I'm against women. Women take so much personally. And this is why it's hard to talk broadly about the concept or even talk non-personally. Like, I find it sometimes hard to talk to the women closest in my life about women in general because they automatically, it's like, it's about me, I'm woman. It's like, no. You should know how I feel about you. You should, but women can't help that. And I know that. But it's frustrating when women don't, and women just roll with their emotions and they start shaming men as a response so they can feel better. So a man will apologize and go, oh, no, like, let me prove that I'm not. It's like, you deal with your own emotions. It's not up to me. She says, despite appearing to despise women as you constantly bash and belittle them. Really? I bash? Anyway. Again, stop trying to defend. You don't stop talking about women. If you were truly done, if your mind was made up, you would... Who said my mind was made up? See, you're inferring this stuff to try and shame. This is what guys are... I wanted to read this comment because this is what guys get from women that shame them to get them to do what they want, to apologize, to be the hero, to prove that they're wrong, to prove, no, this is who I am. Oh, and she'll sit there shaming like, oh, well, I don't believe you. You make me feel like this. Oh, let me make you feel another way, sweetheart. If you were truly done, if your mind was made up, it's never been made up. It's been made up in terms of what I'll never have again. It's been made up in terms of what I do and don't want, which is what I talk about. You're not listening. It's no surprise. Most women don't. Your channel, and does that make you feel bad? Don't care. Your channel would have a different theme entirely. Why should it have a theme to accommodate your rainbow world to make you feel good? Say this to other channels. Seriously, my channel is so moderate. That's why it's not a massive channel. Because it's moderate. Whoa. I've always said that I'm open to a compatible woman. I've always said that I've closed the door, but I haven't locked it, and a very specific key, because I know what I don't want anymore, and I know especially what I do want now, what works for me, because I've come to terms with my life, what I value in it, what works in my life. I can't change my life around to accommodate some pretty thing in a short skirt anymore. It's basically got to be a similar person to me, with similar values. I've always been open to saying, like, I'm not into hookups. Look at all the videos I've made about that, because it doesn't work for me. I don't respect it. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for who I am. I've always said I'm a long-term guy. And if a relationship was to ever work, it would work because of the things I describe in my videos. She continues, in some ways, I really do respect what you are doing. Here we go again. Flattery. You are trying to help men cope. You are giving some good advice. I mean that. Are you on the spectrum with this push-pull compliments? You know, they're followed by put-downs? I don't know. Don't they say that most women exhibit narcissistic traits today? She continues, and some of what you say of women is true, in that some women are as bad as you say, but you make it sound as though like all, and that isn't fair. I make it sound. What did I actually say, though? Again, deal with your own emotions, please. I try and be very respectful, but I do want to be very direct in how men think, how I feel, where I think we need to loosen up and be fair. I'm not here to accommodate, fragile people. I'm sympathetic to people who have gone through stuff and who want to be better and want to not be so, I can't even use the word, Triggered, by like every little thing that sort of provokes them. She says, it is truly absurd to say, and I'm quoting you, I've said once, women work so they can shop. I have said that. But I said it glibly as a metaphor in the context of, because women don't really, you look at the stats, women really don't stay with their careers. When they kind of get into their 30s, they don't go any further. They don't sort of go to CEO. They realize it's just a grind, and they're not rewarded by what the promises of career was. And so what they really wanted was the youthful independence. Like guys, in your 20s, I want to work and make money and I'm going to enjoy my life. But a guy kind of looks forward to kind of getting the girl, getting the house, building a life. But a woman is just like independence, just me. I want to enjoy this. And later on, my plan B is when I'm ready, I'll find the guy and my world will be easier. Guys are planning for their future with women as they approach their 30s or as they build their wealth, because they know women like the security of that. So I wasn't sort of... Look at the jobs women take. All they want is office jobs that resemble their home environment. Air conditioning, comfort, luxury. And it's a social environment. Betty and Nancy there, you can gossip with. You send emails around. You go to the tea room. You take lunches. You sort of make a dramatic world of the work environment like it's some reality TV show. It's about political correctness, what you can and can't say. You offended me, as though the workplace is your home. Women aren't really going into construction en masse. They're not going into hard jobs. Like, they don't like work or the thing that men obsess over. Men care about how hard the work is less. We care about the work in and of itself. Men will tinker with something in the garage or some obsessive hobby where they're locked in a laboratory with no one around and they're just completely having a relationship with the thing. Women, they don't have relationships with things. They have social relationships, which is why they find those kind of jobs. Women, overwhelmingly, all of them want social jobs. And why I said the comment of women seem to just work so they can shop is it seems like they do. It's gossip, and then on the weekend they shop, new outfits, wear it to work, gossip again. So it was illustrative. It wasn't meant to be a literal point. Nice try, though. Do you really believe that? No, of course not. Women think they want more. I suppose it's a reason why there's very few Nobel, Pulitzer Prize winning female novelists over time, because women are so literal, the majority of them, that they fail to sort of recognize metaphors and illustrative examples of what I'm trying to convey, or when I'm sort of being tongue-in-cheek. I hope by now, in my videos, you get the overall point. rather than trying to cherry pick a sentence that, of course, not all women are the same. And I know that women don't just work so they can shop. They need to provide for themselves, of course. But I could also say similarly for men. Men are just attracted to sex, like, you know, the online stuff, and women, that's all they want. That's their impulse that they can't control. But when they need to be responsible, they can sort of want relationships and families as well. I know there's a broader context to it. It's not just about going to bed with someone. In the same way, I know women don't just make money to shop. Your hyperbole is humorous. There are fiscally responsible women in existence. I know. I know. None of this is going to make me or other guys justify picking a specific woman. We don't care anymore. Because the general woman of what women were, like 10% of them when you went on a date, they would all act like a respectable woman, and guys would act like a respectable man. That's gone. So men never cared about how financially independent women are, what careers. I don't give a flying F. Most guys don't as well. And because there's none of that initial 10% of men and women getting along, yeah, anyway. Here's the question after that audiobook. She says, may I make a blah, 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 blah. May I make a, no, there's no, hang on, she hasn't got to the question yet. May I make a suggestion? Tell me what to do, woman. She says, in all of your woman bashing and lamenting over how you've been hurt and disappointed in previous relationships, again, you actually can't see the context of me honestly trying to convey, and what other men convey, how we've been hurt. It's kind of laughable, isn't it? Instead of just telling us about how someone hurt you and how you're disappointed, LOL, she continues, I don't think I have ever heard you take responsibility for anything you have done wrong. Really? You've never... You sound like a drive-by commenter who's watched one or two videos, or maybe just seen what you want to see. I talk about where I could have done things better. Why do you specifically also want to make me admit where I failed specifically? Like, I failed a lot. I made a lot of mistakes. Obviously, I picked the wrong person in the past as well. And then sometimes I didn't know until later. She might have been wearing a mask. I might have been naive. I talk about my shortcomings all the time. You just want to see me, like most girls, completely flatten myself so you can feel above me. It is well known in the dating world that blaming the ex 100% is a red flag. Yeah, I agree. I don't blame my exes. I talk fondly of most of my serious relationships. And of course, I'm not going to talk fondly about the last part where we broke up. That's the lesson I talk about. I mean, if she was with me right now, I might talk about those moments of why it works now, but the illustrative parts that guys are interested in sort of say, that's where it failed. We are trying to work out what went wrong, where we went wrong, why we picked the wrong person. And this is the thing, a lot of you women think you're all great and we just picked the wrong person. It can go both ways, you know. Women like to think that men choose them because we ask you out. Women choose guys. They're the ones that say yes. Nothing happens unless women say yes to us. We don't go to bed with them. We don't take them on a date. We can't kiss them. We can't take any step forward. We might like you, but the like can never turn into anything more. Women provide all the green lights of going forward. And yes, guys should provide those green lights too. We're just far too agreeable. But as well as biology, we are just grateful that, green light, I can move forward. Green light, I can move forward. I would love to hear you confess something beyond I made a poor partner selection. Why? So you can hear me grovel and break down or something? Teaching men to take some responsibility for their mistakes would go a long way in their personal growth. I do. Anyway, you have a platform to, whatever. I'm probably one of the only channels out there, few channels, that get guys to be responsible about choosing better and being better and more self-respecting people. You just liked me to apologize for what? I don't know. Like seeing a guy squirm like most women do. Don't care. I did wrong things. I talk about it all the time. Maybe not specifically groveling and telling you about the kind of reality tabloid style stuff that women like to hear about. Oh my God, look what I did. You know, exposing the personal naked side of my life where I can really humiliate myself. Women love absorbing that kind of entertainment and reality TV. That's what you want to see. Guys don't care. And I'm talking to guys primarily on my channel. I have mature and respectable women on in my subs too, which I'm grateful for. But emotional girls that get off on reality TV drama, which it sounds to me, now if I may judge you, it sounds to me that like you love that and that's the way you learn things. Well, good luck to you. I'm not interested in that sort of drama. Do I have to be an open wound for people? I suppose in today's social media, people like that. Now for my question, finally. If you were to meet a woman you thought was good enough for you, and we won't hold our breath, see, more shame, compliment, put down, compliment, put down. What do you think? I hazard to guess what relationships with guys with you were like. Look, I will say that most of the, if honest, I'm trying to be objective here. If you would ask most of the women, my relationships in the past, they might have, towards the end, they can tell you about how they were incompatible with me, or maybe they could tell you what I did wrong. Yep, for sure. But they will tell you I was very easy to get along. They were frustrated mainly because I wouldn't go in a direction that they wanted to go, or they changed and I wouldn't follow, or they couldn't understand me and they just... So basically, in terms of my temperament, I'm very easy to get along with. For a lot of women, I'm boring because I'm too consistent. I don't change. She continues, what do you think will happen when she listens to your podcast and hears you talk about how petty women are and how immature they are and how they hate other women and have no remorse and don't get their hearts broken, are always looking for Chad, and of course... You're so black and white. I don't describe things like that. You're talking about other channels, not me. Blah, blah, blah. How am I going to explain myself to Pumpkin? She's asking. That you think women are despicable creatures. I don't think women are despicable creatures. You think that I think that. Sorry, you feel that I think that. But you think differently of her. How could you possibly trust her? Have you thought about that? Thank you, Mummy. I have thought about that. By the time it ever gets to that point with the person I decide to be with, she'll know about my channel. I'm responsible with my life, and I will take those steps when they come. Jennifer, in my comment section, who is one of the more responsible females in my subs, she says, I don't take what human says personally. Good. Thank you, Jennifer. When he shares his opinions, I don't feel like he's talking about me. I haven't lived my life like most women, but I can see exactly what he's talking about with women as a community. If men wish to listen to him, that's their prerogative. I can only be concerned with one man and what he stands for. Exactly. I can only be concerned with the woman in front of me, and that's the relationship I have as well. Good for you, Jennifer. I don't care that much what generally women do or what they want to do with their lives, because I don't have a relationship with them. All I care about is the males and females in my proximal, intimate world. That's all I care about. I learn from the men and women stuff in society, but I filter it through my own empirical experience. I'm an empiricist. My lived experience is the most important thing that I finally filter everything through, and that is at the front of everything. Every other bit of information and observation is filtered through that. Jennifer continues in her response to Karen. What was her name? Sorry, Emily. If men wish to listen to him, that's I can only be concerned with one man and what he stands for. However, I do listen to see what men are saying to get a better understanding so that I can be a better person. See, she's trying to be constructive with her love life and her personal life. And this is what I'm trying to do with guys. Instead of always getting their sword out and trying to defend themselves against women, put the sword away, understand yourself in relation to your choices and what you will and won't accept. And it seems like Jennifer's doing the same thing from a woman's point of view. Jennifer sounds like her IQ's above 3 digits. So that I can understand to be a better person. He seems pretty grounded in my opinion, and he's fair. Did he even say if he was in a relationship or not? Either way, human's personal life is his own. Exactly. I talk about the ideas, not necessarily wanting to be an open wound and being all tabloid like a lot of the other channels out there. I know what's popular. I know what will get a lot of views, but I don't want to do that. What I'm interested in is something different. If you want that, go to the other channels. Watch reality TV. Watch the open wounds out there. Jennifer continues. It's not my business what women he chooses and if he'll accept his and if she'll accept his views. I'm sure if he chose her, she would. Well put. The woman I finally choose will accept me and will not be surprised. I guarantee you, won't be surprised by my channel at all. At all. But then guys will say, but if you break up, then you watch her, what she'll do to you. This is all about taking your time to make sure that you don't pick a psycho that you hope it's going to stay all smiles, because if you do break up, she's going to ruin me. Don't go anywhere near that person. Oh, but how can you know, human? Fine. Look, I like 100% safety. I can't argue against it, but make the choices you want to make. David P. Anyway, that was a long comment, but it was coming from your typical female response. Anyway. David P., thank you very much for your donation. Also, I'm just going back on the live stream, guys. Sorry if some of you have put in a super chat and I haven't read it. I've been reading Karen's or Emily's response. The Jimmits, thank you for your donation. He says, ladies broke the unwritten social contract between genders and are now desperate to shame us men back into submission. So sad, to be honest. There is nothing wrong with a life of peace and prosperity as a man. Yes. David P., thank you for the donation. He says, in appreciation for your content. Thank you very much, David. Thanks for your comment and support as well. You always provide really nice observations. And also the kind of comments you provide are more in line with what I like as well. A combination of real and personal, but also mature and reflective. Not just about the stats and the world, and not just about, oh, this happened to me. This is the thing I want to encourage you guys. This nice dance between both. It's not about the world and you're just assaulted by it. And it's not just about the poor me and look what she did to me. This happened to me. It's not fair. Me. It's this dance between I know myself, what I do, don't accept. I went out there, this happened. And what I learnt was blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. Is it keeping focus with me? You know, my hyperactivity in some of my streams, I don't think is due to the coffee. I think it's due to me trying to get through a lot of these very interesting questions. You can feel sorry for whichever woman I end up with when I'm really passionate about something. She will have to like my ear bashings, because when I'm really excited about something, I want to talk. Davina, She said, human has been accused of being reasonable. Yeah, Chaz says, I don't make you feel anything. That's your crap. Unless I insult you directly or say something about you, it's not about you. This is why I'm going to try and put that disclaimer at the start of every video. These are my thoughts about an idea. They're not about you because I'm not talking about you. If you identify as a group, that's your problem. If you don't have any sense of a personal identity, if you've depersonalized yourself and now you're all women or now you're all men, that's your problem because you're going to get offended anytime anyone mentions men or women. Whereas you can have a much more relaxed life where you're not stressed as much unless someone says your name, your specific name, in context of the insult or the different point of view where they're insulting. Make your life. Don't you want your life to be happier? Disco Cobra 2013. Thank you for the donation. He says, first super chat on this channel. Been watching you for about a year now. Always insightful, level-headed talking points. Thanks for the content. Thank you for knowing how I'm trying to come across. And I really enjoy the subs and the community on my channel. I really do respect it. And when I talk about, I suppose, when I kind of highlight these kind of comments, again, these are, if you want to call them, red flags, but it's a way that we can discuss things so we can know ourselves and know what we do want. Like, we touch on the red flags, and then after we've read them, seen them, described them, let's talk about us here now and what we might want to do or what habits we want to put forward or how we want to live our lives. How we want to enjoy now and the future. Not stuck on a frozen world that we're continually just describing or the past, you know? Let me go back and read some more comments. Sorry guys, like after a certain amount of comments in the stream, it just jumps and I can't go back any further. So if you have put in a super chat and I missed it earlier on as I was reading Emily's novel, please in the comments put a whole bunch of, I don't know, $signs if you put in a super chat before your question, just so I know, say, hey, I put in a super chat that wasn't read earlier. Put a whole bunch of $signs before it, just so I know. So I feel bad if you've actually donated and asked me a question and I missed it, but not intentionally. Okay, how far back can I go? Chaz says, don't defend or go off your trajectory. I don't. But also, I don't necessarily care, but I do want to bring up these talking points. If I make, even when I've made response videos to comments, like, you know, my response to Karen or whatever that last one was, it's for us to engage in a conversation to know what the right thing is to do. It's not to just make the whole video about, look how dumb, or look how much I disagree with this point of view, therefore I'm right and perfect. I don't want any of us to do that, because that's where we can actually fall over on dates and ruin our lives. We think we're great and perfect. We don't need to adjust and look at ourselves. So we think we're perfect, and you go on dates where you think all women are a certain way, and you think the fault is out there. Then you can get sucked in by the act. You can get sucked in by, you know, being in love and, you know, being anesthetized by that. The point is to know when you see red flags, and then positively how to act afterwards. Know how to talk in relation to it. You see a kind of red flag pop up on a date, know the positive aspect of how to talk on the date, ask her questions to actually uncover whether or not it's a suspicion, the red flag, or if it actually is. So you ask her, oh, I feel like there might be a red flag. Let me talk. Let me expose what it is. That's why I do responses. It's never to make fun of people because I don't want to. I really don't. I want us to learn from this. Tomb of Armenia says, I work in an office environment. The women are insufferable. They live in their PowerPoints and work documents. Yeah. I left, one of the main reasons I left the corporate environment was transport. Traveling to and from work in a sardine can and never seeing my house in daylight ever. But at the work environment, just the hen house of gossip and complaining and meetings of wasting time and never getting anything done and handballing stuff, and it's not this, but it's how you did it and what you. It's yeah, I can't. I just can't. I can't do it anymore. Okay. Men's Health Space says the victim narrative has a tight hold on many people. They take every conversation as an attack. Yeah, unless you say every sentence that reflects their internal Bible. If you say something off, on a side path, it's like, whoa, no, I don't like that, and I'm going to let you know about it to pull you exactly onto my path. Don't forget, I think a lot of people, they're trying to have a relationship, an intimate, romantic one, almost with everyone. Like where you both need to be on the same path is if you have like an intimate, personal, romantic relationship, if you're with them all the time. But if they're just the average person that you bump into and stuff, they can have their own path. You meet sometimes and you have your own. If you're confident on your path, you're not going to sort of, get hysterical over a different point of view or start to shame someone and play these kind of tabloid reality TV sort of games in conversation with them. Ospexel says, Human, how old are you? I have a question. 50. Yeah, Elusive Man says, men are just leaving an empty dance floor. Women don't want to dance with men. Men want to dance with women, still, less so today. But women just don't want to dance. Like, we do our steps, you do your steps. But women are like, no, you're going to drag me around the dance floor. Or they'll say, yeah, I want to do the foxtrot with a man. I really do. And the man comes up and says, yeah, I'm a foxtrot guy. Let's do the foxtrot. And then she does like, I don't know, some line dancing. And it's like, you're not line dancing. Yes, I am. This is what I call the foxtrot. Sorry, he says, you're not foxtrotting. She says, yes, I am. This is what I call. It's not. Because this and this and this steps, is this what the foxtrot is? Yeah, but I feel it is. You're making me feel bad. It's... Yeah, men are just tired of the games. Women don't like games either, but men are just kind of... It's not just the games. It's also that women openly just almost seem like they're irritated with the guys they're going on dates with right from the start. Or as soon as a guy shows that he's an individual, here I am, I'm Joe, and I like this, and I do not like that, and I do like that, and, these are my routines, and it's like, no, you're slightly divergent from me. It's almost like they need to have complete control over a guy, so he has to be a carbon copy of her. Otherwise, she doesn't like it. I don't know. It's just like not caring about the personal. Whereas guys find the very different personal person that they might want to be on a date with. It's like, oh, how refreshing! You're different to all the other guys, other girls. Whereas a woman's like, no, you got to be like, you have got to be the every guy that we all want, that me and my girlfriends talk about. So, yeah, it's kind of very depersonalized with most women out there trying to date. I remember when I was dating before, it was like you were going out with the same woman because none of them wanted to really show much of who they are, and they didn't really care about me that much. Yeah, just very strange. Anyway. Lou last name says human doesn't bash women. What is up with the women on here? What? Women just don't listen. Look, most of the women subs that I have, the regulars, they're pretty cool. I think this was like a drive-by comment that maybe saw one or two videos. I don't think she's like a real fan of my work, despite saying, yeah, I like your work. I don't. I do. I love you. I hate you. She'll probably take that out of context. She said, you love me. You don't love me. It's like euphemisms, you know? Analogies. Maybe it's my writer's brain. Again, I think I'm one of the most moderate, which is a big reason why back in the day I decided to show my face. It's kind of like, I just talk about everyday stuff concerning guys, but I want to talk about it intelligently. Yeah, I can tongue-in-cheek crack a joke, make a guy laugh, be a bit entertaining, but I'm largely fairly moderate and respectful. I'm more about sort of self-help for guys. If that makes you feel better, Pumpkin. Ooh, Pumpkin did it. Oh yeah, also, after the stream, as always, if you've got a microphone, join the Discord chat. A few of us drop in there. Be respectful. Learn how to use Discord. And don't talk over everyone else, please. But yeah, you can talk live with me and a couple of other people after the stream. Jennifer says human is cracking me up right now. See, I don't know when right now was, because this is back. I'm reading past comments. JJ says, human, you're giving this chick too much credit by taking her seriously. I want to illustrate, again, what I'm about. Also, it's a clarification of me. Again, this is kind of an example of red flags. What can we learn from it about what we choose and how we choose to engage? Most of the time, I don't kind of make an issue of any of this. She wrote so much, and almost every sentence was push, pull, shaming. It's kind of, I just wanted to describe maybe what a lot of guys go through with the bad relationships they've had, and the women they're trying to prove like, no, you're misinterpreting me. I'm not the bad guy. Like, and then you try and clarify who you are, and they won't stop until you perfectly mimic everything they want you to say so they feel safe. They won't accept you as a slightly different human being. I just didn't like the shaming. And I wanted to kind of read it out as that example. It doesn't affect me. I don't care. MGTM Maddie says, great camera and sound, mate. Thank you. For the nerds, EOS R with an adapter using a Sigma 24.14. 24F14. To tell you the truth, I love the Canon for photography. I bought this Canon when I was more into photography, but now that I do almost exclusively video, I wish I bought a Sony. Only because I hate how noisy their lenses are. The only reason that annoys me is that if I put a shotgun mic on this camera, you will hear the motor focusing in and out. You won't hear the motor now because the microphone is further away, but as soon as you put a mic right next to the lens, you hear the little Yeah, as always, some people are saying in the comments as well, like, that, I can't remember her name. What was her name? Emily. Emily saw what she wanted to see. She didn't really listen to what I was saying. Like, listen to what I was saying the whole video. Listen to every word. Like, realize, yeah, where I'm being glib and I'm poking fun. Sure. But I'm not, like, really hating and putting people down. And the overall message, like 95% of the message to 100% of the message, is usually all kind of positive, balanced, and I want to talk about a guy's point of view because it rarely is. Guys are told to sort of suck it up, be quiet, get on with things, man up, ask women out, do your duty, stop complaining because that's not attractive when men complain. Oh, how convenient. When women complain in the world, they keep getting more and more and more out of the world. They've got more control of the world now. And men have got less and less control in terms of just they're able to be a person with someone. Some questions I don't know how to answer. Yeah, Chaz actually says humans. He says human. You don't want to be with a woman who doesn't get this channel. Exactly. I could never be with someone who, and I would find that out early on. I would discern before I would even risk. We talk about risk. Be very careful before you share parts of your life. Like how long would you wait before you gave someone you trusted completely your PIN number? How long would you wait before you let someone into your home? Before you introduce them to your family? Before you introduce them to your friends? Before you took them to a favorite spot of yours? Say you like hiking. You know, you don't want to just take anyone there because then if you break up in a bad way, they know, you know what I mean? Like you pollute a spot that was yours. That's an intimate place. So this is what I talk about. Know yourself and know when you want to take steps because they're 100% yours to take and the decisions to make. And so the person I would be with, how would I put it? Yeah, like Chaz says, she would understand my channel. And if it got to that point when I would reveal that, when I could see it getting serious, I would take enough time before it got serious and knew that this was one of the final things that she needed to understand. But I would have the confidence that, like, honestly, I would have the confidence that she wouldn't flip out because I took the time to ascertain her character to consistently see over time, months and months, and if not, you know, towards like a year, like more than 5 months, at least, you know, past that honeymoon period where you take your time to see if you're consistently compatible, that the honeymoon period wears off, and all the little things like temper. Was she wearing a mask or is that really her now? Like she keeps repeating this character trait that makes me feel at ease that this isn't an act. This is part of her core personality. It wasn't just her on her best behavior. This is her as a core person. And because you can actually have the confidence to discern that person along with are they a consistent person, that you will know how she reacts to you giving news that might not be flattering. You've already tested that in smaller, important ways. Like you introduce topics like, you know, I need to tell you that I'm into this, or this is a quirk of mine I never tell anyone, or this is a very private part. Like you're not sure if she'll accept it. You take little steps to introduce these things and see how she reacts. If she's consistently accepting and understanding, oh, I don't really like it, but I understand you because I love you, that I can see that this is part of you, but that it's not necessarily about me. So this is the difference. I could never be with a woman that took everything personally, that no matter how I tried to explain it to her, it's like, no, I'm talking about ideas. Obviously you and me are different. Like I've talked about men, how men are like this, they're motivated by getting women into bed, but you yourself know that I'm not motivated that way, right? Right. So we know the difference between the general woman and the general man and me. This is why we've decided to commit with each other to the exclusion of everybody else. That is the important thing. And that's how you know you're consciously with someone because you both want to. You know why you're in there. You're not sort of this is what I could never understand with guys that kind of go with the whole nature and like, we're just animals and we just push to be with each other. There is so little control. There's a lot of anxiety for me to sort of think that I'm going to date and be led by biology exclusively without knowing why I'm attracted and how long I take to feel safe and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how some guys do it. I'm just not built that way. Cyrus says, Human, why do you think modern women are proud of sleeping with more men? Because it's drama, because it's easy, because now the narrative out there is that women should be proud of it. Look, when men wanted to get serious, it wasn't anything to be proud of. It wasn't. And a man who slept around with a lot of women, if he met a girl and she didn't respect that, he could actually, if she didn't respect it, she'd be like, I find that a bit disgusting. Like, you've slept with that many women. He would need to accept it as well. Where did people get off on the, like, where do people come off today thinking that everyone has to respect everybody? Everyone, you can't judge me. It's like, why not? I judge completely with the person. If I'm thinking about being in a relationship, they want to tell you don't judge. Like, in general, yeah, okay, whatever. They're not in my life. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't really care too much about you. Oh, but I want you to love me. Well, pick one, sweetheart. Either I love you specifically because I judge you specifically, or if I judge you generally, you're like water or something diluted. You're nothing. You're like everyone else. So pick something. Do you want to be special? In which case, we need to be individuals that are completely honest and show who we are. Or do you want to hide who you are and be general people and complain about the lack of specificity that you have in a relationship? Oh, I just feel like, we're not connected. Well, duh, because you're not being individuals. You don't care about, like, you want everyone to love everyone and no one to judge anyone. That's a effing boring life. And that's nowhere to find intimacy. You have to have the courage to be specific and know what you want, and the courage to actually reveal that to the person you're attracted to. Because when you do, you get rewards later. It's just like exercising. You don't want to exercise, but later on you're going to be happy. Do the thing you should do to get what you want. You want security or love. There's a better way to do it rather than blindly and making the excuse, all women or all men are the same. I know that some of you get off on me getting annoyed. What does it say about you? Enzyme 2000 says, I have problems with trust because of previous experience, but I find it difficult to let my guard down. Obviously counterproductive. What do you recommend? Be very open when you talk to someone. So that kind of thing. The person that understands you, right? If you hold that in because you think, I've got to work on it, which is true. You do need to work on shortcomings that you're not proud of, that you want to be better at. But the best thing I think you can do is when you go on dates or when you want to be in a relationship, just be honest about them. If you realize, like, yeah, again, I'm falling back into the old defensive, I don't trust women, just tell them, I've been through this and like sometimes I find it hard to trust women. But if you're genuine and you can sort of say it calmly, if the person has patience or they get you or they're a compatible person, they should be able to see it from your point of view. If they're as defensive as you, it's kind of like two opposing magnets. It's very hard for those kind of people to be together. But if you kind of had the courage just to be open, you don't have to give specific details. But just, it's so freeing to just self-righteously just say what you think and who you are. And if they don't like you, they don't like you. But if you've said it in a really nice way, as nicely as you can, and they still get annoyed and offended, it's like, well, good. You got annoyed at me actually expressing some sort of vulnerability or like who I really am and my shortcomings. And, I got a problem with this. I just got to let you know. Because you're kind of thinking, I want you to understand. I really want you to understand because I like you. And if she's like, no, I don't understand and I'm offended, it's like, well, looks like I can't like you. I can't even like you, so how am I supposed to love you? Realistic delinquent says night shift is great. Like Human was saying about women liking work that's like home. Yeah, I like that analogy I came up with. Does she feel like a holiday or does she feel like home to you? In terms of trusting your feelings as a guy or your judgment, in other parts of your life what feels like home, what feels good, and what feels kind of like an exciting holiday, but yeah, you can't stay long, and it's not really, you don't invite the holiday to live home with you. Like if you go on a nice vacation to Nepal or Morocco or somewhere foreign, it's like, wow, this is really refreshing, and it's a bit sort of disconcerting and a bit uncomfortable, but it's only for a short amount of time. But you also experience a lot of new stuff, but it's within this safe space of this is a short holiday and I don't have to worry about anything because I've got my stability and my home when I go back home. The mistake is when people go on holiday, i.e. they pick a hot mess, like, they go out with their own Morocco or Nepal and they live in, the US or somewhere where they're a city person with all the modernity in their lives, and they kind of go, I think I can live here. I think I can pack up and move to some remote mountain side in Nepal. It's like, no, you can't. That is a great place to visit and take photos and take selfies. I've done that, by the way. But realize who you are and where you are. Wherever you are around the world, you take you with you. And where you are most comfortable is where you call home. So really realize, does she feel like home? Does she feel like an exciting holiday? And know why. Rather than saying, well, I just care about feeling excited and biology and the species and reproduction human. Like, well, good luck with that. That's a lot of risk to me. I think whether you do want kids and marriage and stuff, the more you're conscious about knowing how you feel in relation to the person to be able to articulate it sensibly as you can. I know there's nothing you can do. You either like them or you don't. But knowing why and being able to discuss it with them and discuss it with yourself, but mostly discussing it with them so you can verbalize and they can talk back to you and you hear each other on the same page. That is awesome. Not just that you think you're on the same page, but you verbalize and through consistent repetition, and it keeps being verbalized between the two of you. You trust each other that way because you're communicating. Look at me, I sound like some dating coach. I hate it when I sound like that. JJ says, women want a good dancer to dance with them so that she enjoys the dance and makes her look good. Yeah, a lot of women don't actually want to be a good dancer as well. They want a guy who's a great dancer to lead them around. How long have we been going for? How long have I been blabbing for? An hour and 13 minutes. David says, I was told I hate women because I said any first date I won't pay for her. Yeah, I know. Look, most of the women in my life, they can see my logic, some of them, but they just cannot. Their rule is, if a guy doesn't pay, it's about what it shows. And no matter how logically I can explain, say, well, it's not fair and blah, blah, blah. You know my main problem? And I've explained this. Women keep saying, oh, it's the gesture. I go, don't pretend to want to contribute and say, oh, do you need money? Do you want me to chip in? Or I'll pay for this. Do not pretend. This is, I came to terms with why I found it that I didn't like when women, I have no problem paying when I want to pay. What I have the problem with, and I'll say this is the problem I have, is when a woman pretends that she wants to contribute or she wants to pay, but she's really just testing to sort of see what it says about me. I don't like that dishonesty. If you don't want to pay, don't pay. Don't pretend to be kind. This is what I hate. That is what I don't like. And all the women that say, oh, but it's, you know, we don't, it's the gesture. You know, a guy shouldn't really expect us to pay. Well, why not? If you offer, do not lie. You wouldn't appreciate us lying. I could say a whole number of things that women don't like about guys that when we lie. And I could sort of come up with, well, you know, I could word salad it the way women do to sort of, so I can have my bias of being taken care of. But if I lie, I've lied. Do not say you want to pay. Do not say, do you need some money, or do you want me to chip in? Do you want to go Dutch? Don't say that unless you mean it. Don't say it, and then if he takes you on your word because he was wanting to trust you, then you blame him. No, take responsibility for what you said and the gesture you offered. I know snowball's chance in hell, human, because women don't like responsibility, but that's why I don't like this whole paying for stuff. If you don't want to pay, it's fine, but what women don't like as well is that they know that if they continually don't pay, a man will kind of go, F this, I'm not being with her, she's a freeloader. So women want to fool a guy and saying, oh, well, do you want me to pay? And he'll be like, no, don't worry about it, I've got it. And she's like smiling, oh, good. Okay, let me see next time. Maybe I'll do the fake gesture again. So it's the fakeness of the gesture. What women don't like is if they're honest and just don't pay, they know they don't get many third dates. You know, guy might pay for the first, but they know that they really don't end up being in a relationship because it's very obvious that you don't provide very much at all. If all you provide is fake gestures, a man gets, that becomes very obvious for him. But if you can fake your way through the honeymoon period until the mask can come off later when he's invested time in falling in love with you, that's when you can say, no, I'm not doing this. Well, now this is the real me. That's what I don't like about the whole paying for dinner thing. Don't want to pay, don't pay. But what women don't like is us guys saying, well, I'm not going to go out with her anymore. She seems like a freeloader. Or she lies. It shows you that you can't trust what they say. Whenever women say, yeah, we say this, but we mean this. We act this way, but we mean this. Well, of course, can't guys read the signs when women do? No. Communicate. You know the thing that women complain about with guys? Communication. How about you start doing it too? Because we have to, much more than you do. If we don't communicate directly, we don't go on a date. We have to ask you out. We have to be very direct. We can't play games. Women can. They can be passive. Women, so it's come to the point now with equality, thanks girl power, that these excuses don't fly anymore. If you offer to pay, you offer to pay. If you don't pay, you don't pay. But be direct and honest about it. These old chivalrous games, they don't work anymore because men and women have different relationships now. You're not old-fashioned. Stop asking for the benefits of old-fashioned relationships where you don't want to give any of them as well. Where, like, many men appreciated the honesty of women much more. Like, now it's just games from the very start. Feral Android, thank you for the donation. His comment is, the problem with green flags is women usually change after a few years, which is fine if you know it's coming and are prepared, but bad if you want marriage and children. Does your message really apply to men seeking marriage? Look, all I'm saying is spend as much time, and I'm talking years if necessary, before you decide to have children and get married and do all the stuff you desperately want, to sort of see if she's as much of a keeper as you can sensibly and safely do to make that call. Because if you want kids and your life will be regret if you don't, and you want it in the more traditional way, all I can say is take your time, be patient, keep your eyes open, look for consistency in her character, and especially patience, and a good temperament, things like anger issues, selfishness, empathy, understanding from your point of view, all that stuff. I know that's kind of unicorn territory, but if you want a kid, there's a lot at stake. So unicorn territory is really what your standard needs to be. And not just to make her feel special. Oh, I think you're a unicorn, sweetheart. No, you don't even need to tell her. The way you treat her and how you're absorbing and judging the relationship over time, you need to make the decision that is right for you. Because like you said, kids and a marriage is at stake, and you will, and a lot of guys irrecoverably suffer afterwards if you don't. So take your time, eyes open. That's all I'm saying. Obviously, everyone in life, me, you included, guys, girls, everyone's got different trajectories. But the one thing we can relate to each other well is being completely honest. The games we play is what I don't like. Who cares says, what do you think about body count? See, this is where I differ from most guys. I know a lot of guys care about it for what it says, and I agree. The more men women have been with, for me, what it says for me is more, it's harder and harder for her to stay in a long-lasting relationship, because that's generally what's been shown. So that's what I keep my eye out. That's my red flag. But generally, I've never cared too much, unless it's kind of like she's been with hundreds and thousands of men. I actually like a girl with experience. I've never been one of those guys that wants someone who's pure. I don't want to be holding someone's hand in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. So it's not been a big issue for me. All I care is about who the person is in front of me, how she treats me. Obviously, there's stuff in the past that if it comes forward and it affects you now in how you relate to each other, that's different. But everyone has their own kind of standard. Body count has never mattered too much for me. Who cares? Oh, you're a female. She says, I'm a girl who made mistakes in the past, but is very remorseful and feels guilt and going to therapy about it. But she's better now. I would say all you can do, you can't change your past. All you can do is find a guy who accepts you, or find a girl that accepts you. Again, like this kind of, our frustration with past and all that, all you can do is do the best with what you got now and move forward as honestly as you can. Like I said on a date, don't come down like a ton of bricks to make yourself like you're neurotic and the person's kind of like, whoa, 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 this is too much. This is an avalanche. I know I'm very talkative and I can come across that way for a lot of average women, which is why a lot of my dates didn't turn out, because I was too intense for the wrong kind of woman. But the curious woman who is introspective herself, who enjoys good conversation, who's into similar things with me, finds it a refreshing difference to the average guy out there. So I'd say not to care, because you want to have fun on a date and you want to have fun in a potential relationship with just you being you, like I am now. I want to be able to be like this with the person I'm with. I don't want to modify myself to be the boyfriend. I don't. And she shouldn't have to modify herself. So as much as you can, just kind of be open books and just kind of let it all out and stop trying to impress each other. I know it limits your chances even more, but it also limits the years you waste with an incompatible person. There's having times of loneliness, and there's being in complete misery and feeling completely alone and miserable all the time. That's worse. Vero says, human doesn't look like an orange ghost anymore. Yuma says, human, in your dating life, how often has a woman liked or been okay with the content on YouTube? Like, I haven't in the past told women until it got to a very serious stage. And my last ex, I stopped short because I could see it wasn't working. It was going downhill after the honeymoon period. Because again, I couldn't trust that if we went our separate ways, that she wouldn't do a Gone Girl on me. JJ says women are like roller coasters. The wait is long, the ride is short, and there's a line of men behind you waiting for their turn. So just enjoy the ride and move on to blah 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 blah. Yep. Where are we? Where are we? Yeah, absolutely no freeloaders. Yeah, if you want children, hang around someone else's kids for a few hours. Okay, some more comments under the videos. David left a comment. This was in we're still in the comments of the community tab on my YouTube. Every week, I will post your comments under the post that's pointing to the weekend stream. So look in the community tab for ask your question post. David says, will you elaborate on what compatibility means? Yeah, like I said in the last video and today, your values, your temperament, introversion, extroversion, your routines, where you like to spend your time. Are you family orientated? Like, I don't want children myself, but I'm very family orientated. So all these little things, where you spend most of your time, where you do your routines in life, where you want to continue to do them, does the other person do similar? You don't want to now get rid of all these aspects of your life that you really enjoy and that are you, just to be with this person that's just nice and agreeable. Do you have the same values? That's the really big foundation of compatibility for me. I'd love to learn how to determine if a woman's compatible with you or not. It takes time because, again, you can't trust the first impression. So be as talkative as possible and as friendly and as open, and don't keep things in. Don't sort of think you can notice red flags and keep them to yourself. Talk about them. If you've got a question mark, express it so it's no longer a question mark. Make sense of it. Work it out. Don't just work it out in your head, because your head's not always your best friend. We've had times when we're alone and we can't do what we want. We don't always have a best friend in our heads. Work out what's real through being open and talkative and communicative. Pyro X says, what's your opinion on the whole woke rainbow girl power sphere? I can't say the words. He said all the buzzwords that'll get me flagged. Why is it so much pushed and encouraged in today's Western world? Do you think it relates to the decline in the birth rate? Yep. Because women lubricate the financial system much more than men do. Women are the majority of spenders. They're very emotionally driven, so marketing works on them a lot. They spend more. If they get married in divorce, and they just kind of keep leaving and returning because of how they feel. They're a lot more productive for the financial system. The system can make much more use of women than men. So that's why girl power is in charge socially now. And they do everything they can not to let guys in charge. A guy can be in charge of his own life, but socially, the social environment, I'm not talking about the business world, the social dynamics, the advertising, entertainment, all that sort of stuff, where women sort of reside. That's why they're in charge there, because a lot of money's made. Hand 3 says, basic question, what do you do when you feel like you're not developing or progressing in life? Understandably, we are, but when this feeling comes that you aren't, what do you do? Stop consuming, like you've probably got habits, like even habits of channels you listen to, podcasts, shows. You might always spend a lot of time binge watching Netflix. Stop doing that, do something else. Or if you watch movies in your free time 70% of the time, do it 20% and do something else that you do a lot less of. Change things up. I'm not saying be completely different, but change the percentage where you do things. I noticed that I just naturally started watching less and less manosphere kind of content, only because I naturally was interested in gear or I was upgrading my camera. And then you come across people who do vlogs or just everyday stuff, and you just enjoy different things and tech reviews, and you start noticing how you feel about that and what you want to do. Hey, I want to try that. I want to do this. We can get stuck in loops. It's just figuring out how you can get out of your loop in a way that's you. Again, get out of your comfort zone, but in a way that's you. Don't become someone else. Blah, 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 blah. I know that certain instances in struggle are necessary in life, but now I'm struggling. The analogy I've always heard is it's the difference between swimming upstream and swimming up a waterfall. Yes. Know when you're swimming upstream, which is productive, you're learning something, it's uncomfortable, but you know it'll do good for you. Or if you're trying to swim up a waterfall, which is a waste of time. Don't be someone else when it's completely unfair and you're never going to get anywhere. Like, you know that doing this, swimming up a waterfall, you're going to be exactly the same spot, tired, miserable, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're never going to get anywhere. Don't do that. Christian says, I was wondering what were your thoughts on the difference between I read this already. Realistic Delinquent says, ultimatums, how do you handle them? I'm like, they're very obvious to me. It's like, what? Well, I'm very big on recognizing unfairness. For me, that's my knee-jerk reaction. I've got things that I need to work on a lot. I've given women in the past a lot of time before. I should have broken up a lot earlier, and that's on me. But one thing I'm very good at is when I see blatant unfairness, where I'm understanding but they're not. It's very black and white. It's like, hang on. And I tell them, it's like, that's not fair because of this. And they almost don't care. Or they say, well, that's just the way I am. Or they have anger issues, but I don't. It's like, that's not fair. You appreciate that I don't have anger issues, but you don't. You know what I mean? So the blatant unfairness and ultimatums are an unfair thing to me. It's like, if you love me, you'd blah, blah, blah. Does your strategy change depending on who you receive it from? Yes. If a person I know and trust and they're giving me, it's a difference between constructive criticism and criticism and incompatibility. And you kind of know it, you feel it, you're walking on eggshells. Whereas someone that you've learned to trust, if they're constructively criticizing or trying to tell you something you don't want to hear in a nice way, you can tell they're being sympathetic. Like, I know a lot of you guys that follow my channel, you know where I'm coming from because of the way I'm talking, but a lot of people who are incompatible with me, or they're still working through their own stuff, that they need the world to be perfectly them, they don't want to hear anyone that's different. If you're compatible with the person, like you guys are with me, or if I would be with the person that's compatible with me, if I say something that's off, they'll understand it because of the compatibility. Ultimatums, I don't like them. I voice that it's an ultimatum. I discuss it. I don't like feeling bad when someone puts me on the spot or shames me. Like the previous comment, like trying to shame me, then telling me I'm good, but trying to get me to do what they want. I recognize the unfairness of what a person's doing. I can see when a person's trying to pull my strings. And that ability to sort of read between the lines can serve you well, especially on dates, because women can give you the perception of like she's a great person, but she may not be because of some of the condescension. Blah, 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 blah. Would you ever feel it appropriate to offer one? I wouldn't offer a direct ultimatum, like a blunt, like, if you love me, you'd this. I might do it in a joking way to let her know what I think is unfair, but if I'm being serious, when I'm serious, I always try and use language that's not blunt or rude. And if I do offend people, I don't mean to. And if they are, I'll try and clarify myself, but to people, that I care about. But I'll never do sort of those blunt, rude ultimatums. I find them rude. But if a person's got another point of view that comes across as an ultimatum, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone just expressing a different point of view, as long as you can both work through it and you can both come to terms and be on the same page. But I think you're more talking about the rude ultimatums. It's basically, if you don't do what I want, this is over. This is my relationship. And here's the ultimatum or you're out. It's kind of like being at work. This is your job. Okay, you do your job. And then they add more work. It's like, now your job has changed. I have changed the deal. Be careful that I don't change the deal any further. Ben Tired says, how do you deal with being lied to? How does anyone overcome anger that comes afterwards? Because we're all being lied to this day, whether it's women or the state. Thanks for your time and attention on this. Yeah. Recognize it early. Talk about it. I think a lot of times we stay there like I did. You stay too long in relationships when you know not just that you're being lied to, but that you're in a lie. Recognize that you're in a lie. Not just that, like, well, I'm going to give him a chance to be honest. No. Recognize when you're in a lie. Verbalize it so it can maybe not become a lie anymore. But if you stay quiet, it's going to become more and more of a lie, and you're going to waste your time and feel more and more used. So again, I come back to you. Be more and more honest about what you perceive, the situation and the women you're with. So then you can afterwards have less guilt and regrets. Like, I recognize it, I voiced it. Whereas later on, I think a lot of guys regret. We stayed silent, we were too nice, we didn't speak up, we didn't learn to express ourselves. That's the whole reason we want to have a time machine so we can go back. So we do things differently now because now we could speak up. Now we're less afraid to say something. David on my Patreon, he asked the question. These are the questions I'm putting together to work on with a friend of mine. He says, can men and women be friends? I'd say it's hard because biology is the first directive. Are you physically attracted? And that's kind of the avalanche of that honeymoon period. You can't see beyond it. But why I say for guys to keep an eye on friend traits with a woman is that if you're dating with the intention of long-term, you want to have kids or things that require long-term, then looking for the friend traits in a person is very, very important in that sort of the honeymoon biologically driven state. I think men and women can be friends, but after the honeymoon, if you don't get into a relationship, if it never gets to that stage, there's unrequited love, but you need to sort of see that you're just beating a dead horse if you're wanting someone and they don't want you, like Will Smith and Jada. Second question, I don't know how to answer that. He's talking about the church and culture. Foundations, what do they look like and why are they important? Foundations. Where do you feel good and comfortable and relaxed in life? They're your foundations. And then around them, verbalize them through ethics. What makes sense to you? What's right and wrong? How are these good things? Why are they stable? Why do they make me feel good? The whys of where you feel comfortable and good in your life. What are values, morals, and ethics so important? Again, because they help. They make you recognize and reinforce what you know your foundations are. Then it's clear where your boundaries are. This is where you live, right? They're your foundations. Okay, what are your boundaries? They're around where you live, your foundations. What are your values, morals, and ethics? They're the verbal thinking process of how this works and what's fair. So that's how I see them working. Under the videos, is that what you heard me say, the last one? VS says, see, when a person is talking to him in person, you don't have these issues. I agree. I'd pretty much guess that if we all had like a group gathering, most of us get along. There wouldn't be arguments, none of that. This is what's missing from personal interaction. And I realize this is what the online environment does, but this is what it is. When you're in person, you don't have these issues. You can clarify really quick. You don't have to say and make a whole video stating, be moderate. Yeah, red flags are a big deal. However, like a lot of things, people learn to use them like, I can't say that word, DRUGS. And so they get in a red flag loop where they excuse the inertia with, oh, the world is a dangerous place. As for the green flags, I would love to know some, and I notice I simply don't. I would say the green flags for me is, if I love someone, always asking the question why. What is the practical, sensible reason why I love someone? Not because of the feelings. Are there traits, values, morals, ways of life, introversion, extroversion, like lifestyles? Is there a really good foundational reason why I feel good around this person beyond simply that they look good and exciting? Are they a holiday? Are they home? The why helps me understand the green flag. I know it's hard. It's easy to go and go, whoa, that's very clear, red flag, or you'd hope it would. Most guys don't even see that. But I'd say a way to sort of, if you feel good, to add some intelligence behind it is to ask the question why. You come back home, it's like, she was really great. Why? Why did you get along? And sometimes, like I said, that I've come back from dates and said, that was a great date. You ask why, it's like, she didn't say much at all. You know what? I had a good time on my own. I was enjoying my own company. I was enjoying expressing myself. I was enjoying the freedom and the courage of being me. And this person didn't say a word. They were pretty, but I was having a date on my own with a pretty cardboard cutout. And I'm sort of manufacturing a fiction of this compatibility going forward, and she could be the one. It's like, no, you're the one. You were the one on the relationship. You were having a relationship on your. You're having a date on your own. I hope that answered that question, sort of, about green flags. I think the red PIL MGTAW red flag was formed as a response to danger. Yep. I also believe that humans perceive danger 3 times more deeply than good things. I agree. Just in the same way that we express anger a lot quicker than happiness. That sort of defensive response to survive. Blah, 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 blah. It really is in our design to focus on the red flags. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I know. I've talked about it in videos. I'm just trying for us to be more conscious, to steer our lives as much as we can. Otherwise, if we let go of the steering wheel, it's just kind of a mess of you get what you get. And then you try and rationalize it afterwards. I try and rationalize it a bit before to help, maybe, in those moments, because I'm exercising that muscle, you know? But if you let the muscle atrophy, you're really just relying on this. It's almost humorous how the government, by replacing the father, caused women to become a symbolic saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, to a lot of guys. I'm getting missed calls from my mother. In the age of safety, recreate demons just to relive our ancestry once more. Patrice says, good video. You're right, and so are the red flag channels. Sure. What is important is to take notes, observe, validate, and make an informed decision. That's it. That's it. Admittedly, I don't think we should, my channel doesn't think you should focus on red flags as much, but I think they're all worthwhile. But just sort of staying there in that kind of defensive no is a life of inertia and not getting anything. Men's Health Space says, it must be a boring life to remove yourself from society just in case you meet a girl and she does not meet some stupid standard that is imposed by dating gurus. Yes. Oh, she did not offer to pay for coffee. Red flag. No dinner date. What a lonely existence. Good luck with safety. OH&S was never designed to protect the stupid among us. Again, I'd look for that consistency. If she pretends to want to pay, I don't like it. She's lying. I like women who are direct, because if that directness is consistent, I can trust her. But I don't like the whole, oh, when a man does this, he means this, or when a woman says this, she means this, you need to read the signs. I don't want to read any signs anymore. There's no social norms between men and women. I cannot afford to interpret signs wrong. So you're either direct, you say what you mean, or you're lying. And I cannot trust a liar, and I cannot build a life with a liar. I won't invite a liar into my life. Scott K, under the video I did about Will Smith's relationship, he said, one word for Smith's situation is unrequited. Yep. His wife doesn't love him. Never did. Look, we've been going for a while. There's still more comments. I don't think I'll be able to get through all of them, but that's great that there were so many. I encourage you guys to go under, especially this video. Oh God, I've got to do everything in reverse. This video, where I said I'm over red flags, there were a lot of great comments in the comment section. I highly encourage you guys to go and read them. I can't read all of them. I read the comments today from the community tab promoting this live stream, and also from all you guys who are asking me questions on Patreon or PayPal about these videos. And also another thing, like I used to thank people by name, put their names on screen, but I know a lot of people I ran into trouble, like they want to stay anonymous. So I don't know who minds having their names on screen, because you know I am appreciative of you guys who support me on Patreon or PayPal. But I've stopped actually thanking people personally, publicly, because I got into sort of, some people want to remain anonymous, which I completely understand. Some people could be married, they're in a situation like they can't get out of at the moment. You know, they're not with a partner that they can share this stuff with. And rather than laughing at this kind of guy, this guy got in the situation before he realized this. We have to also realize that we all make mistakes, people. The inability for us to forgive making mistakes, seeing that this person made a mistake, I could have made this mistake, I didn't, but now I'm going to make fun of them. You don't want continual hypocrites, but that shame you, but also you want to realize a person that's genuine, who's just trying to sort of get better. I respect those kind of people. I don't have much respect for people who want to shame and put other people down and think that they're perfect or the other person's all to blame. In terms of, yeah, Neil says, in terms of his green flags, he says, kind, caring, and compassionate. Yes. It's very hard today. See if you can actually find a girl on a date who's been imbued with social media and reality TV, that she's kind and she doesn't get off on making fun of people and telling you about, you know, I hate this person at work, I hate my job, I don't like this. If she's all negative, because a lot of guys are being negative too. Men and women are very negative today. And then what would your first impression be on a date when everyone's always negative? And you don't talk. And you don't show who you are. So that's what I mean, why in green flags are important. If you feel good on a date, why? And then start to notice why. Are there good traits? Oh, she wasn't negative. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't... because then if she's complaining on a date about everyone else, she's going to be complaining about you as well, probably, if you went out with her. Bleeding Edge says, I can speak to this. As a middle-aged man, do not wait too long to just go out there and see what happens. Of course, work on yourself, get healthy and work hard, but do not sit on the couch or in front of the computer every day and let life pass you by. It's mind-blowing how fast time flies. After 30, it's insane. I agree. I'm 50. Life moves really fast. You don't have forever. And I'm pretty sure with guys and as well with girls, they thought they had forever. And they get into midlife, it's kind of like, yeah, my eggs have dried up. The dating market has changed. I'm no longer young anymore. Now it's a different world. The party's over. I don't want to admit it to myself. It's like you need to be as real as possible, as soon as possible. David P says, taking calculated risks is worth it. Doing nothing nets you just that, nothing. You get nothing by doing nothing. It's also not, you don't just not get nothing. You don't just not get anything new. You don't get anything. Even the stuff you think you enjoy, it becomes old and you don't get anything. Like it doesn't grow anymore. It becomes stale and stops. So even if you like video games, it starts to kind of lose its luster after a while, or games change. and you're still attached to playing video games, but they're not the games that you enjoyed playing like 5 or 10 years ago, because what people like now has changed. Look at movies. I used to love movies. You know, nostalgically I still do, but they don't make the movies I like anymore. There's not many good storylines. So, Society of Robots says, so what are your green flags? I just responded, what do you want? Ask why. What is a virtue to you, and what is it in another that needs to be reciprocated for you to be compatible? What's a green flag? Compatibility is a green flag. What's compatible? These are the kind of questions I talk about. That starts to answer some of your green flags. How long have I been blabbing? Whoa, nearly 2 hours. I can't read out all these questions, guys, but keep asking them. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Arena said, I've been saying exactly the same thing lately, that people are focusing on the Jerry Springer types. Never mind, there are good people out there. There are. Again, I'm not using the not all women, but come on, I think we're so binary that we suck all the color out of life. All the chance encounters where we can find something that's just ours. No one's finding anything that's just theirs. Either it's a cookie cutter, 100% safety that's built for everyone and for me, which is like highly unlikely that it's going to really make me satisfied and happy. Most of the time you just get sold vanilla. Scott K says there's a noticeable trend in people that sounds a lot like I'm happy doing me, which is fine to a certain degree, but I also think there's something deeply sad about it too. There are plenty of people who would do well in a relationship and likely grow from them, but due to the immediate assumption that all relationships aren't worth it from all the consumption of negative media around them, yes, now no one even wants to try. I couldn't back this mindset more if I tried. Only focusing on the things you don't want is an insane process of elimination game. You could play forever. That's an actual good way of seeing it. People are just playing an insane, perfect process of elimination. Not a fair, balanced, the other person is another human being. We need to be on the same page in terms of compatibility, but not that insane process of perfection of elimination until you get to an exact mirror of you. He continues, if you play people you don't gel with, move on. If you date people you don't gel with, move on. If they're not good for you, move on. The idea that every single potential partner is bad for you is dumbfounding and likely a form of projection. I think it also represents an attitude that then propagates into other facets of life. If you only spend time on the negative things around you, you're not only spending more attention on it than it's worth, you're also missing on all the good things too. You only have a limited attention, so it's likely that time spent on negativity also means you don't spend time on positivity. That is really well said. Go take a look at Scott's message. I should pin that. Let me highlight it. I'm going to pin that later on. Raisin Dragon says, another problem with black and white thinking, there is no grey area. Everything slightly uncomfortable about a potential partner is deemed a big red flag. Men and women are guilty of this. Yep. We live in the grey area. You're an individual grey area to everyone else. Yeah. There are too many men that think that I'm saying that we should just be naive and pick green flags and ignore the red ones. No. The lessons in the male self-help area is invaluable. It helped me a lot. And I just want to not stay stuck where I was 10, 20 years ago. I want to keep moving forward and expand my comfort zone and enjoy my life more. And if that means taking recoverable risks, I'd much rather do that to sort of feel alive. Again, not being reckless, not jumping out of the plane, but jumping out of a plane with a well-packed professional parachute. So if you're fine with where you are, good. Just I'm just opening up the conversation about moving, changing, about knowing where you want to be, or feeling at least that. August Lying said, the older we get and the more experience we might have with relationships do tend to leave us overly cautious and jaded. This goes for both men and women. So two middle-aged people trying to date each other, carrying decades of failed relationships, broken hearts, hurt feelings, and grave suspicion towards the other person. Is it any wonder green flags get overlooked when we both immediately try to find the deal breaker? Yes, which is why we need to have these open, honest conversations with ourselves and with each other, so we can be more courageous with not making dating cartoonish. Don't let all your exes have revenge on this new person in front of you. Learn from your exes and your experience, but give this person the benefit of the doubt. Have your eyes open, and then look if you see anything prop up. They go, oh, I'm not sure what I think about that. Verbalize it. Make sure there's no red flags if you suspect any, but don't carry them. Don't presume them guilty, and then you sit there with your arms crossed. That's like, okay, prove that you're innocent. We don't appreciate that from women. Courts of law shouldn't work that way, but they are more and more. It's more of a female world. But yeah, it's this whole you're guilty until proven innocent, where you should be sort of you're innocent until proven guilty. And we prove the individual guilty by knowing ourselves and being very aware of the date and how we're speaking and being honest about expressing ourselves. One person said, if you think you're tired of identifying red flags, just wait until you ignore them. I'm not saying to ignore them. They're very important to recognize. They're part of your boundaries. Contrarian dude says, the other thing that gets my goat is the template question. There's no cheat sheet to having a fun and successful life. Pick something up and give it a go. If it brings you satisfaction, stick with it until it doesn't. Then you choose another. People have seasons in their life. Our goals, values, needs, and desires change with our seasons. This is what is meant by the phrase, keep moving forward. Not all goals will see you through till you die. Yes. Enjoy the season. Don't waste it. Are you still dating like a youth? Like a naive youth that's frustrated? A lot of women seem to be dating like they were still a 20-year-old. A lot of guys do too. But that's a very good point. You keep moving forward. Not all goals will see you through till you die. They don't. They change. And part of our frustration is we don't want to admit when we need to move on to a different lifestyle. I might have liked skateboarding when I was younger, but I give up skateboarding. But the more you open and communicate about it, the better your chances of being able to sort of see through verbalization and communication and making these choices and taking these little risks and seeing, does this work? No, it doesn't. Does this still not work? No, still doesn't work. At least you're kind of open and curious and leaning in the direction where your curiosity lies. You shouldn't, but you should, look, he says, not all goals will lead you through till you die, but you should always have a goal. Yes. Having a final destination only works until you get there. So this is the thing, like you could sort of spend years writing a book. You finally get to write a book. You achieve it, but then it's like, do I really want to write another one? That's really a nice self-assessment process that goes on. Silva says, I was talking with a friend after my divorce. He was divorced too. He said something that seemed pretty wise at the time. He said, everybody has baggage. The trick is finding someone whose luggage matches yours and who is traveling in the same direction as you are. I agree with this. Like, we're all weird and kooky and peculiar. What's quirky to me might be completely crazy and incompatible to someone else. You need to find that sort of match for you. Someone responded to Silva, that's bad advice. Women change direction in a split second for no reason other than I change my mind. Fine. But Alfred said, yeah, that's why the manosphere reminds us to put words right now after all their feelings. Yeah. But this is why you continually, you check in and you verbalize the relationship and the life you're in, even your own life. Be conscious. Does your routine fit you? We don't communicate much anymore, even to ourselves, honestly. Rusty said, 15 years ago, a woman I was dating told me, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me," after I paid her rent because she was struggling and I didn't want to see her homeless. That's the last I ever heard of her. She's completely ghosted me. I carried much guilt through almost 2 decades, and I failed relationship after relationship, blaming myself for not being good enough. Finally found some red pill wisdom. I think Sandman introduced me, totally saved me, realizing I never did anything wrong. I was failed loser because I couldn't keep a woman around. You need to ask yourself where these feelings come from. The introspection is important. August Lyon's comment, I think after this comment we'll wrap it up unless you guys have any. So ask your final questions and we'll wrap it up. August Lyon says, I came to the exact conclusion. This was about the video I did about Will Smith. He said, that slap was an emotional outburst at Chris Rock, but the person he wanted to was sitting next to him in the audience. Thank goodness he had the restraint to keep it just a slap because it could have gotten ugly. I've never been a fan of open relationships because it's often one-sided, with the other person agreeing only out of desperation to keep their partner. Yeah. I think a lot of people who agree with open relationships, they'll just take what they can get. If a couple doesn't agree to an open relationship at the beginning of the relationship, if it's brought up later as a way to have the best of both worlds, it's probably going to lead to a world of soul-crushing emotional pain. I agree. No judgment here, but people should be honest about what they find acceptable for their relationship and not to bend to the selfish desires of their partner who can honestly take them or leave them. I agree. Well said, August Line. You've come up with some really cool comments, interesting and astute ones this week. Good for you, man. And don't take it like a woman. What? I don't usually come up with good comments. You come up with good comments, man. JJ. Oh, JJ lives in the inner west. I live in the west as well. A little bit out, not quite inner. Although I do visit the inner west a fair bit. You've probably noticed when I film. Okay. Any final questions, guys? And let's wrap it up. Feral Android says, problem is I created a great life for myself, and now I don't run into women much except at the store. If you're happy, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're happy, that's all good. I'm just kind of trying to talk to guys that we kind of know when we're alone, when we can't sleep well, that we're frustrated with parts of our lives. We're not really living a relaxed, tranquil life. There's a lot of stuff that's irritating us, and a lot of it is how we deal with our rules to do with women and stuff. All right, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. That helps the channel out. It keeps, even if you just leave a thanks or whatever, if you engage with the channel in any way, it's good for the algorithm. And for any of you with a microphone, I'll catch you on Discord after this stream for a bit of a chat with everyone else. Ooh, the colors look a bit magenta. I'm not a big fan of magenta. Generally, I don't mind all colors, but purple on me, I'm not a fan of. Not a purple person, I don't know why. All right, guys. Thanks for the stream. Had a good time. Blabbed more than I expected, although with the amount of great comments under this week's videos, I expected it for me to get a dry mouth today. This doesn't help. But anyway, guys, have a good weekend. I'll catch you during the week. And yeah, catch you later. Bye. See ya. Adios. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.